Hello, my name is Samar, or also go by Sam or first time panner. Any of those you want to call me, you can. This will be not really an update because I kind of fell off with this series, but this will be just a check-in for all the pans in my collection. This is something that I used to do like 3 or 4 times a year, but then I kind of just gave up last year because last year was so chaotic. Every year is chaotic for me, but yeah, I was just really behind last year, so I stopped doing these videos, and now I haven't done one in about 9 months. So not that I have a ton of pans, in fact I probably have less because I decluttered some stuff last year that had pans in it. So yeah, a lot of these are very old pans, but I just kind of wanted to share just so I could update everything. What I decluttered or what I finished was I always like had a face powder that had pan in it, but currently I'm not panning any pressed powders. I've been working mostly on loose powders this entire year, so I don't have any with pan. I only have 2 pressed powders left anyway. Okay, sorry, I got interrupted if the angle or the lighting changed. I don't really remember what I was saying, but yeah, no pressed powders with pan. Those have all, the ones that I had pan in have all been finished. And then last year I decluttered my Natasha Denona Mini Star, which had a few pans in it. I think maybe 3 pans. So that got rid of, unfortunately, a fair percentage of my pans. And then I probably had other stuff that I decluttered with pans, and if I just like cannot, a lot of Super Shock shadows. Yeah, I decluttered all but 3 of my Super Shocks, and almost like I think all of the ones that I decluttered had pan in them. So now I'm just left with, sorry if you heard my pinky crack, now I'm left with the ones that I have here. And yeah, it's not anything, you know, especially if you've been following my Pan That Palette series. A lot of those, in fact all of my new ones, come from somewhere in that series, so it's not the most exciting video, but yeah, I kind of wanted to update just so I can have another snapshot of my collection for in the future. And because if you've been watching my Pan That Palette series, you probably know all the pans from those that I'm going to show, so I'll start with those just so I can get them out of the way. And of course that would be I'll start with my e.l.f. Rose Gold palette. I only have pan in 1 shade in here, and these don't have names, but it's this like mid-toned, well, now on me it's kind of light because it like does not show up too well on my skin tone anymore now that I have a tan, but it's like the mid-tone purple matte. I always say that whenever I pan a palette, that is the first thing that I hit pan on. Sorry, I'm getting distracted by Rosie. And yeah, it's currently the only thing that I have pan on in this palette. I'm really trying to hit pan on the dark purple and then the rose gold shade in here, and then I feel like honestly I probably could hit pan on these 2 metallic shades, because this one I used a lot, it has a good dip in it, and then this one I use a lot in the summer. I just have to actually use it. But yeah, hopefully next time I film this video, which will probably be like at the end of this year, I will have at least 1 more pan in this palette. Then we have my Norvina palette from ABH, and this one has the most pans, or actually no, I think it's tied with one other eyeshadow palette in this, I don't know, video. Anyway, I have pan on Incense, which is just again the mid-tone brown. That was also the first one that I hit pan on in this palette. And then I have Rose Gold, which is the second one that I hit pan on. And then in my most recent update, I hit pan on Volatile, which is like a cool tone brown. In this palette, I'm hoping that, well, honestly I need to because I'm literally panning this year, but by the end of the year I want to have pan in Dreamer, Summer, and Dazzling, and then I really do think I can hit pan on Soul if I just use it, but the shade is just declining very much so in quality, so I don't know how much more use I'm gonna get on it, especially in summer. But I really do think I can have pan on Eccentric if I just like actually use it, but the formula has changed a tiny bit. It's definitely not super powdery anymore because of how many times I had to like sanitize or like disinfect this palette, because kept getting dropped and stepped on by my cat. So this one isn't as powdery as some of the other shades in here is what I'm saying. So I don't know about the mattes, but for sure I can hit pan on Dreamer, Summer, and Dazzling. Then finally I have my face palette that's in my Pan That Palette series this year and last year, and I finally have pan on 2 of the shades. Again, like I said last update, they're not real pan. They're just, I'm pretty sure they're just air bubbles from when I repressed both of these like sometime in I might have repressed this one in 2025, but this one was from 2024. But either way, you know, I still technically, you can see the pan in there, so I'm counting it, but I have pan in this bronzer and this blush. My goal for this year is to actually like naturally or like earn pan on these 2 pans instead of just getting pan from an air bubble. But every time I use these, I notice that I wear away more and more, or like I can see more of the pan every time I use them. So I think that is doable this year. And then I also think I can, by the end of the year, have pan on this blush because it's like pressed pretty deep into the pan. Then I have the 2 eyeshadow palettes that were my Pan That Palette or Pan Those Palettes, like Better Together palettes. How many times can I say the word palette? But my 2 palettes that I was panning in 2024, it was the palettes that I was panning before this round of palettes, but like time has been lost to me, so I don't remember if this was 2023 or 2024. Anyway, the first one that I'll talk about is my Sigma Ambiance. This is what it looks like. I love this palette so much. I just used this for my 2 Looks 1 palette for June. I did have pan on Basque, which, you know, as always, is the mid-tone brown matte. That was the first one that I hit pan on, but then I ended up using so much of it that I had to repress. Not the exact same one, but I took something that was like a very similar shade from a palette that I was decluttering and put it in the pan of Basque. So I no longer have like any pan showing in this, but I did hit pan. I need to re-hit pan on this at some point, but I do have 3 others. I have pan in the shade Days, which I pretty much just use as a lid setting shade, and then I have pan on Candlelight. This was the second pan that I hit in this palette, and then Enrich. So the first one that I hit was Basque, then Candlelight, then Enrich, and then Days. I really don't at all think I'm gonna hit pan on anything else in this palette, but I do really want to pull this back out at some point to really work on it, because I do think I can hit pan on Basque again. In fact, when I was first panning this palette, the gold shade from this Rose Gold Nude palette is what I would pair this with, like Basque and the gold metallic. That was like a go-to look for me, so I really want to do that again, especially while I still have this before I declutter it at the end of this year. And then I'm definitely not going to hit pan on anything this year, but I feel like I could also hit pan on Luster, because that is, at least for this palette, my go-to inner corner shade, and I do already have a dip forming in this shade. Then I have the Sephora Playlist Blues Beauty palette, and I did dig out the shade, I didn't finish it, but I hit pan on this one right here, which again is a mid-tone brown matte, but this is a cool tone brown. It took me well over, I didn't track it, but I just know because of how many times I use this, it took me well over 100 uses to hit pan on this. It might not look that deep, but this is such a deep pan, and the formula is so thin and smooth and pressed so hard that these just take forever to hit pan on. Like, I even have a giant dip in this shade, but I just like don't know. I really don't think I'm close to hitting pan on that one. I also have a dip on this shade, and I have a really good dip on this lid setting shade. So I feel like if I ever took this out to pan again, I could definitely get 3 more pans in this palette at least, but again, it took me over 100 uses to hit pan on that one, so I'm kind of like just hesitant. Now onto my final two pans. I technically was panning both. I would never hit pan on something unless I was actively panning it because I have so much eyeshadow and so much makeup in general. But these were just like actually, I think both of these I hit pan on in the Office Project pan. The first one is from my NYX Ultimate Edit Warm Neutrals palette. And I hit pan, of course, on the lid setting shade, but this one also took me so long to hit pan on because similar to the Sephora palette, it's such a thin formula and it's pressed so hard in the pan. It took me forever. I was using this literally every single day for months and months. And actually, no, I hit pan on this in my That's So 2000s project. How could I forget? That's the project that I created. Yeah, in my That's So 2000s project. This took me so many uses to hit pan on that, yeah, I'm kind of nervous too. I've been considering panning this palette, but I'm honestly kind of nervous because of how long it took me to hit pan on that one. And I know Julie is from Caboodle Jewels is feeling the same thing with her Milani palette. Then finally, I have an eyeshadow single, or it's now a single because I depotted pretty much all of my ColourPop palettes, except for the Avatar one. I'm keeping that one intact because I love the packaging. But I depotted all of my other ColourPop palettes, even the ones that were not magnetic. I tore it apart and I put them all in here. There are a few like random eyeshadows in here as well, but these are all of my ColourPop shades. And if you can see, the one that I have pan on is this one right here, and I don't think it has the name on the back. Yeah, it doesn't have anything, but I know what it's called because I was panning this for so long in the Office Project pan. I think it took me a full year to hit pan on this because well, this is like a sequin orange matte from the Lucky Penny eyeshadow palette, and the shade is called Hit It Big. It took me so long to hit pan on, even though every time I use this, I would literally use it all over my eye, either as a one and done or I would top it with like a metallic, but I would literally put this in a very opaque layer all over my eye, including like my bottom lid, and it still took me like a year to hit pan on this, even using it like 2-3 times a month. Yeah, ColourPop is no joke. And even though I have so many eyeshadows that are like this tone or very similar, I feel like I cannot get rid of this one because, not that there's anything wrong with, or actually I haven't used this in a while. I think, honestly, I don't think I've used this since I hit pan on it in like 2023. But yeah, I feel like I couldn't get rid of this unless I saw like something funny happening to the pan. I need to keep this because I worked so hard on this. But I believe those are all of my pans. Yeah, the only other palette that I had with a lot of pans in it was my very first pan, that palette from 2022, which was my like Morphe Jaclyn Hill, like the original Morphe Jaclyn Hill palette. I think that had like 4, maybe 5 pans in it. But yeah, I'm just like not that good at hitting pan on things. I'm much better at finishing cream products, I would say, but hitting pan in powder products especially is not my forte. So I'm happy with the ones that I have now. However, I really need to get more pans in, at least for now, the palettes that I'm panning. And then who knows, maybe I can get more pans in some face palettes because I have like upwards of a dozen face palettes probably in my collection. So yeah, we'll see. I'll update this again at the end of the year, but until then, yeah, let me know how many pans that you have. I know Alyssa, who is, I think, Miss Alyssa JM. I'll put it on the screen. But she has so many pans in her collection. In fact, I was just, sorry, I'm going on a tangent. I was just watching one of her videos and she was saying that she hit like one time 100 pans in a year, which to me, I can't even fathom. Like, I used to watch, I can't remember her name, but she was trying to hit like 24 pans in 2024, and even then I was like, how could you ever hit 24 pans in a year? and Alyssa hit like 4 times that many pans. So I'm just like in awe of how quickly some people can pan things. That is not me, but let me know if you're really good at panning stuff, how many pans you have, and like what was the hardest pan you ever had to hit. For me, hands down, the even more than the ColourPop shadow, the Blues Beauty shade, that was my hardest pan ever, and I'm very proud of it. But yeah, I'll just see you in my next video, and until then, I hope you have an amazing day. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.